and welcome to MoviePod, a Reclaimed Cinema podcast. I'm your host, Brian Wishart. So this is going to be a special bonus episode because I went last weekend to the TIFF Next Wave Film Festival. It's my first time ever going. To describe what TIFF Next Wave is, it's a youth-oriented film festival put on by the Toronto International Film Festival. So it's not in the spring. It's not part of the major festival back in the fall, but this one is actually programmed by a committee selected by high school students within the Toronto area. So it's a lot of youth-oriented films. So it's a lot of coming-of-age stories. It's a lot of first-time directors, second-time directors. A lot of movies that are meant to be geared towards a younger audience. So what's cool about the festival is that they actually offer a free pass for anyone under the age of 25. So it's actually a great way to get people to actually, come out to the cinema and everything. I felt like a little bit like Steve Buscemi and 30 Rock, like, how do you do fellow kids there? But, you know what? Like, it was a total blast to go. And, yeah, the committee picked some really good movies. There's 9 movies part of the official selection. I saw 6 of the 9. Plus, they did a special preview screening for Chandler Levack's new movie Roommates. So I just watched it on Netflix. So I'll talk about that one a little bit as well. So I'm just going to go through the movies in order. Thing is, they did a great job selecting these movies. And one thing I've got to give this Next Wave committee a lot of credit for, too, is that the various ones I saw doing Q&As and such, they did a great job asking questions, because that's such a hard job to do, for asking actually smart questions, informative questions, to actually get the filmmakers, engage and give thoughtful answers back to. So I just want to give the kudos to the Next Wave committee for actually being a really great moderators for Q&As. So it looks like my dog's going to be joining me for this little podcast. Hello, McCluskey. Yeah, so I'm going to go through the movies in the order that I watched them. So the first movie I watched was a movie called Thanks for Nothing. It's a German film directed by Stella Markert. So it's a film about a bunch of girls, teenage girls who live in assisted living group within Berlin. So they basically have this one older girl that kind of helps them out and everything. She's a bit richer. She can afford to keep care of them. Yeah, so it's focused on these four girls as they kind of have their own specific issues as they're going through a lot of troubles in life. So it's really focused around this one girl who's named Katerina, who's played by Leah Drinda, who I also saw in the film Sound of Falling. She plays the girl in the World War II segment of that film. That's also, Sound of Falling is an incredible movie. Go seek that movie for sure. So she basically has this Katerina character, she basically has a Harold and Maude kind of obsession with death and trying to kill herself. And it kind of makes every one of her friends kind of a bit more on edge. And as a film, it's what's really cool about this movie is that it's Stella Markert made a point during her Q&A how she was really interested in films about sad girls, so movies like Virgin Suicides and such. And you can see a lot of film influences within the aesthetic of the movie too, because it has a lot of train spotting looks to it too. One character is pretty much designed to look up like the character Amelie in the film Amelie. So it has a lot of interesting kind of subtle film homages to it. And what I really like this movie a lot is that all the characters are really, really well sketched out. They're really it almost seems like it's the kind of thing where you can actually flesh as an entire TV show if you wanted to. All the actors inhabit their characters very, very well. And as a film, it looks really, really nice. Is really, really photographed well. Has a lot of nice, good colors to it too. Very funny, very dark. This is one I would really would love to see go wider if possible. And also the soundtrack of this film is really incredible too. I think the director said that it's available on Spotify or something already. So I'm really curious to see to check that one out. Yeah. So Thanks for Nothing. Really solid German film. The next film I saw is a New Zealand coming-of-age story directed by Paloma Schneideman. She came in for a virtual Q&A for the film, and she made an interesting comment about how she made this movie basically to make a coming-of-age story that she could really relate to, that she felt was missing when she was coming of age herself. So this film is Big Girls Don't Cry. It's set in New Zealand 2006, but it's a 14-year-old girl named Sid, and she's basically trying to figure out her way in life too over a summer break. In her house, she has an exchange student visiting, who also basically almost acts like a cool girl role model to her. Just one close friend already who basically they're growing apart because the main character Sid is kind of trying to expand her own horizons and kind of explore her identity as well as sexuality as well. she as she hangs with this cooler girl, she meets up with like, some like jockey idiot boys and such, and she's trying to figure out her place in the world. And what's interesting about this movie too is that it's set 2006. It matches the aesthetic too entirely of down to the music, but also it's a lot of MSN Messenger communications, which is someone who was a young teenager in 2006 myself, I can absolutely relate to. And this movie does a really great job of depicting what it's like to be, in the kind of the pre-smartphone era and be very, very bored. This movie does a great job also too of kind of examining queer identity and kind of not actually defining it specifically, because as the filmmaker mentioned in Q&A, it's like it's not for any of us to kind of pigeonhole this one character into these various groups and everything. So it's kind of, and which could be a cop-out, but I think the movie does a very nice job of actually exploring of making the character seem very, very well rounded too. This was a really, really lovely film. I loved how it looked. There's parts of it, because it's all filmed in New Zealand too. There's parts of it filmed like during storms and everything. This is a great movie. I would absolutely recommend checking it out. One thing I actually did as a break between the movies, because had some time to kill in Toronto, so I went down to Queen and Spadina and went to the Rivoli for a dinner. So if any of you guys know about the Rivoli, it's a historic Toronto music venue. The Kids in the Hall started there. Williams played there. Their second show in Canada there. But it's also the venue from Nirvana, the band, the show that they're always trying to get into. The whole premise of that show, as well as the movie, is them just trying to come up with schemes to get into the Rivoli. So there's you just walk in there and just sit down to the bar and order a burger. Very nice, very good venue. It was pretty quiet when I was there, but they make a pretty good burger, and the bartenders were very, very friendly to me, including one that was just starting his first shift. He was incredibly kind to me. So if you're ever in Toronto, just go to the Rivoli. Nirvana, the band, the show makes it seem like it's so hard to get into, but you can just go in there, just try it out. But after my burger, I went down to the TIFF Lightbox Theater and saw a film called Isle Child by Thomas Percy Kim. So this film is he described it too, especially as he was very much influenced by Moonlight as a coming of age story. But this one's a lot more about a Korean identity, and he based it on one of his friends who was a adoptee. And the story is about an American kid who was born in Korea. So he's adopted by white parents and brought over to the country at a young age. The stories in the movie is about he gets a letter from the adoption agency saying his birth mother wants to reach out and talk to him. The lead character, whose name is C, played by Ethan Huang, he kind of has a bit of a panic attack when he kind of reads this letter. His parents are trying to hide the letter from him because they don't really know what to really do with this letter from the birth mom, and he basically has like an identity crisis in regards to, he's never really felt Korean, but he also never really truly fit in as a white person in Massachusetts. So he, his promising baseball career is, he's great on the team and everything. And he has this one teammate that pops in on the team too, played by Ben Wang from Karate Kid Legends and The Long Walk. And through this introduction of another person kind of reminds him of himself, he kind of has a bit of an unraveling. I thought it was a really, really well done movie, and especially Ethan Huang and his mom, played by Samantha Mathis, who fans of MoviePod will know from the Super Mario Brothers episode. Really great performances, and really well made movie. I loved all the nuances, especially with all the family dynamics going on too. I kind of wish there was a lot more nuance with some of the more supporting characters. But as a whole, like for a debut film, this was a really poignant film, really well scored. Great music too as well, and by a really young composer. I think the director said during the Q&A, the composer was only like 20 years old too. And the cool thing about the Next Wave Film Festival is like the kids are all right. They really are. Like the fact that all these young filmmakers are making films of this quality, and all these movies I'm talking about here, they're all from a technical aspect extremely well made. Like these do not look like amateur productions at all. Like they made these are all well put together movies, and they're all the people who curate these movies actually did a good job actually making sure they're all properly made films. So the fourth film I saw was a movie called If I Go, Will They Miss Me by Walter Thompson-Hernández. This is an expansion of a short film he made by the same title. So this one is about an African-American kid whose father just got himself out of prison. He's in and out of prison a fair amount. And it's basically him, he imagines his father as kind of an infallible figure. And it's kind of, there's a lot of Greek imagery in this movie about like him imagining his father's like Poseidon as like one god. A lot of Pegasus imagery too, like, flying in the air. And with the Pegasus imagery, he's obsessed with aircraft too. He's always really looking at the planes flying in the sky. And he's like boy in poverty. It's just part of it. He's wanting to escape poverty. He's also trying to see his father as like some like, maybe he's gone for a better reason than just like, a criminal reason. Yeah, so it's a really nicely made movie. It's a movie that I don't think feels too fresh. I think you've probably seen a movie very much like this before. Again, I mentioned Moonlight, the last movie. This movie is definitely influenced by that as well. I feel like a lot of the Greek imagery stuff is kind of doesn't really pay off too well, unfortunately. I kind of want to check out the short film for sure. I'm curious to see what that element would do within the realm of like a shorter time span, because I feel like this movie kind of meanders a little bit. Yeah, but honestly, the major actor in this movie is the mom's played by Danielle Brooks, who is also like The Color Purple. But yeah, this is again, like all these movies are really, really well like put together, and the performances are really, really nice too. I just wish this movie was kind of a bit more cohesive in a way. So the next film I saw, which is by far my favorite of the lot, this movie is fucking incredible. It's called Camp, by a director called Avalon Fast. So Camp is a film about a woman named Emily, played by Zola Grimmer, who has a bunch of tragedies in her life, and one when she was a bit younger, and one when she's a bit more of a young adult. And through those tragedies, she is suffering through depression and grief. And she's encouraged by her father to get a job at a grief camp. And it's a Christian grief camp. So she goes to this camp there, and she is trying to adjust to, with everyone else who's working there, all these kids too who have also suffered their own tragedies in their own way. And she becomes close to a bunch of the counselors, a bunch of the female counselors, and through that she discovers they like to dabble into the occult. And I won't go into any more. This movie completely blew me away in how it reveals itself. So like it's a term I don't like to throw around a lot because I think a lot of people misuse it. But this film is very Lynchian in the best ways. It reminds me a lot of the way, especially some of the digital photography as well, and how the shots will linger and how it will wait. It reminds me a lot of Twin Peaks: The Return. It also reminds me a lot of and how you can kind of use this kind of a vibe and tone of like a soundscape and imagery. It reminds me a lot of I Saw the TV Glow as well. This movie is really, really creative in how it uses some animation as well to mix it in with with live action. This movie, I think, could be a real good cult classic. I really hope this one goes wide. I think a lot of people could really gravitate towards this one for sure. Avalon Fast is a director that I didn't really hear about beforehand, but now I'm absolutely going to check out everything they do from this point forward. They did another movie called Honeycomb, and I really want to check this one out. And all I know about Avalon Fast is she the tagline, especially on the Letterboxd, says like she specializes in girl horror. And yeah, it makes sense too, because like honestly, this gave me some Ginger Snaps vibes as well. This is a Canadian film, very, very Canadian. Out of all the movies I saw at this festival, it's the one I would absolutely make an effort to go see. So the final film I saw at the festival was a movie called Ish, directed by Imran Perretta. So this movie is set in the UK. So it's about two friends who are 12 years old. The main character's name is Ish. His best friend's name is Maram. The biggest thing was interesting about this movie is that Ish is a little bit smaller than his friend Maram. They're the same age, but Maram, as his friend, he's a Palestinian immigrant to the UK, and he's getting a lot of course, with all the stuff going on with Gaza right now, he is under a lot of different stress than Ish is. And Ish is a lot smaller than Maram too, like physically. And so Maram's trying to venture out, trying to meet some different kinds of boys and stuff. So it's a very similar kind of thing with Big Girls Don't Cry, where it's kind of a, just trying to, you're growing apart from your friends at this one specific age and time, because you're kind of wanting different things. One person's like, a bit more childish, one person's a bit more trying to be a bit more mature. So it's all filmed in black and white too, which I think mostly looks good. Especially looks incredible in this one scene where they're fucking around with fireworks and such. This is a film about like juvenile delinquents as well, kind of rebelling against your own parents, rebelling against authority. It's nothing, it doesn't really break the wheel in too many ways. One thing I really wish that this movie this movie's a bit scattershot in what it's trying to do. I feel like it's trying to do a lot of things, and I kind of wish it kind of narrowed in on one of them, and only one or two of them. But yeah, it's a solid movie. It looks great, really well acted. I thought it was really bold, especially to have a really actually interesting Palestinian immigrant character. So this is so the last one I'm going to talk about is one that I didn't actually see at the festival, but did have a previous screening at the festival, but couldn't make it to Toronto on time. So it's Roommates by Chandler Levack. Chandler Levack being the director of I Like Movies and Mile End Kicks, which is in theaters right now. Those are two both very, very mature movies. Roommates is it's a Happy Madison production for Netflix. So not as sophisticated as I Like Movies or Mile End Kicks, but a really fun movie. I liked it a lot. Stars as Sadie Sandler, Adam Sandler's daughter. You can absolutely tell it's Adam Sandler's daughter because they look the exact same. She's kind of a bit more, she's more reserved and such. And then she meets someone, Celeste, who's played by Chloe East. Chloe East, you'll probably recognize her from, she was in Heretics. She was the opposite of Sophie Thatcher. She's also the horny for Jesus girl in The Fablemans. He asked her to become a roommate in college. They're going to, and of course shenanigans ensue. You get the free-spirited roommate versus the more reserved roommate. It's all done with the framing device where Sarah Sherman from Saturday Night Live, Sarah Squirm, is kind of just advising to other people who have issues with roommates about like, hey, like here's an awful experience I had with dealing with roommates at the university here right now. I thought it was like, I'm a sucker for coming of age story. I think they're a lot of fun. Chloe East especially is really, really funny in this movie. She has a great screen presence. So it's a really fun movie that I actually think it doesn't hold any punches, which I was kind of surprised about, which is really nice because I feel like a lot of these movies kind of like fall into a basic formula. But I like where this movie ends up because it'd be easy for this movie to kind of take the coward's way out when it comes to the escalation, but this movie just keeps on escalating in a really fun way. If you've been kind of often Happy Madison productions like I have, this one kind of stands out. I think you don't really get a lot of Chandler Levack's flourishes in this film, but I think this is a really well put together movie. It looks good, which is great because you often don't get a lot of good looking Netflix films anymore. But yeah, so I would check out Roommates as well. Honestly, all those movies, like the ones I would think I'd really make an effort. Roommates is accessible, so I'd recommend just looking it up right now just because you can easily find it. But of all the movies I saw this festival, I would say the ones to really stick out are Camp for sure, by Avalon Fast, and Big Girls Don't Cry, as well as Thanks for Nothing. Those three ones are my favorites of the lot. And yeah, I mentioned checking out the other three movies I missed at the festival that were programmed, but I was not able to attend because honestly, for a festival of only a few movies, I was really impressed by all of them. They all had good filmmaking talent behind them, and I'm excited to follow each of these directors to see what they get up to next. Yeah, so this is like just a quick bonus episode because of my trip to Toronto. So thank you for listening. I'm going to have an episode out on Speed Racer with Maeve coming back on the show out on Tuesday. And the following week, MOIP is going to be back on the show too. And we're talking about Man Out of the Hands of Fate. So thank you so much for listening. You can follow me on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Letterboxd at bwishart. You can also follow MoviePod on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also follow MoviePod on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, take care.